Hello, my name is Alan Watson, and in just 4 minutes and 30 seconds from now, I'm going to share with you a very peculiar, completely natural, and safe tinnitus curing secret that neither you or your doctor will have ever heard before. You'll discover how everything you think you know about tinnitus is wrong. How the cause of your or a loved one's tinnitus has absolutely nothing to do with how loud your music, job, or life is, or was, or even the result of a virus or infection, but is in fact far more shocking than you've been led to believe. Backed by breakthrough research carried out by a team of doctors and researchers in a top 5 university research facility in England, this simple but effective system to erasing tinnitus out of your life for good has now helped cure over 105,302 people of all the frustrating ringing, hissing, buzzing. All these people living life as they deserve, who in just 14 days completely and permanently erase their tinnitus, all naturally, all safely, all by following this unusual secret backed up by clinical research. And it's something you can easily do right this second from the comfort of your own home without going near a single ineffective and expensive tinnitus treatment or remedy, or even visiting a single doctor. No matter if your doctor or physician has told you that your tinnitus is incurable, which is simply not true. Even if you've just been diagnosed with tinnitus or have been suffering for 10, 20, or even 50 years, even if you've tried every single tinnitus treatment or remedy under the sun. Trust me, when I'm finished letting you in on this controversial secret, you're going to be furious at the doctors and media for lying to you this whole time about this supposedly incurable condition. You'll finally be able to concentrate on your life rather than incessant noise. You'll be able to no longer live in fear of loud noises, of music, of cinemas, of having fun. And can you just imagine being able to lie in bed at night with not a single buzz or ring or hissing sound? Being able to relax and enjoy life as it was meant to be enjoyed. It may seem impossible to you now, and you may be feeling skeptical, but stay with me today and pay close attention, as it's time to throw away the preconceived notion that tinnitus is a life sentence and begin to follow this 100% natural and safe tinnitus erasing system, just like thousands before you, and you too can see for yourself how effective it is. People like Kimberly Hammett from Polk City, Florida, who said,
"Hi, Alan. I gotta tell you, I was so angry when I heard my doctors had been lying to me my entire life about my tinnitus. I've had it since birth, and it used to make me mad when they would tell me I'd been subjected to too much loud noises. Unbelievable. Before finding this secret, I tried everything to get rid of my tinnitus, even white noise machines. Well, I can tell you now it's been 17 days, and I am gobsmacked about how well your tinnitus curing method has worked. In the past 2 days, I've had no more ringing. Not one bit. I broke down when I started for the first time in my life to experience a world without tinnitus. I feel like my life has just begun. I hope this message helps to encourage you to continue your great work. I can't ever thank you enough. Kimberly Hammett."
And Arthur Benitez from Cambridge, Massachusetts, who wrote in to say,
Hello, my name is Arthur, and for the past 12 years have experienced the nonstop hissing and clicking noises of my tinnitus. Since it started, I've had real problems sleeping and would seem to only sleep when I was at the point of complete exhaustion. It's been 14 days of following your tinnitus curing secret that you showed me, and I am stunned at how well this works. My clicking and hissing noises have completely disappeared, for good. I can't believe it, and it was so easy to follow it felt like I was cheating somehow. Now I sleep like a baby, and I have more energy than I can remember. Thank you, Alan, for everything you do. Arthur.
And even Martha Bergman from New Berlin, Wisconsin, who said,
"Oh my gosh, Alan, you are a genius. I can't say I have been suffering with tinnitus as long as others. Must have been only a couple years. But the constant ringing and buzzing was already affecting my work. With me being unable to concentrate or make out what others were saying, I looked like a fool. I am on my 3rd week, and today is my first official tinnitus-free day that so many others that you have shared this secret with have had. It feels amazing. I was back on top form at work today, and my concentration and focus are through the roof. I can't quite fathom how I achieved this naturally and safely, but I did, and I am forever grateful. Best wishes, Martha Bergman."
You're probably wondering how your average, admittedly skeptical American with zero medical knowledge whatsoever has stumbled upon a 100% natural, safe and effective tinnitus cure that you've never even heard of before. As I mentioned, my name is Alan Watson, and that's my gorgeous wife Mary on the left there. I'm a senior sound engineer, 48 years old, and live in Richmond, Indiana with my beautiful wife and 2 sons. Just like 50+ million other Americans with tinnitus, mine started off as a faint ringing in my ears in the summer of 2011. I thought nothing of it at first, and would just wiggle my ear until it eventually surpassed. But as the ringing and buzzing high-pitched noises became more apparent and more frequent, I deep down knew something was up. Tinnitus. My doctor immediately blamed my job. Of course, it was an easy target for him to point the finger at. With my headphones playing soundtracks on all day, he preached it had permanently damaged my ears. It didn't really explain how in my workplace with dozens of others doing exactly the same thing, why I was the one who got tinnitus. Surely everyone else should have it too, and how some people are actually born with tinnitus. But as I did back then, I took my doctor's advice as gospel and thought I had no other option but to grin and bear it. As the ringing noises gradually got worse, I started to get desperate. It was distracting me in my work. I was exhausted. My days were becoming more and more stressful. I would lay in bed at night just wishing the noise would go away for just a couple of minutes so I could drift naturally to sleep. I tried all the different hearing aids. I tried uncomfortable masking devices. I even tried antibiotics and antiviral medication. Nothing worked. Sadly, by definition, there is no cure for tinnitus. And sadly, it's something you and I have been told over and over again, so many times, you actually believe it. And doctors and friends, even family, really play down and don't quite understand just how frustrating and hopeless tinnitus really makes you feel. Just because a doctor cannot see it, hear it, experience it, and as it's definitely not life-threatening or painful, they are simply uninterested. They are bored with it. That is the sad fact. I too had given up on a cure, even existing. Each day was becoming tougher and tougher. I was struggling to concentrate on even the most menial tasks. I was exhausted from lack of sleep. Life truly was miserable. Years of stress and ringing eventually got to me, and as I was preparing my morning coffee at work, a headache came on. So painful, so severe, it felt like someone had put my head in a vice and was slowly tightening it until my head would burst. It was the most horrific pain I have ever experienced in my life. My coffee cup dropped to the floor, and so did I a second later. I thought I was having a stroke. The tension headache was so bad that it left my eyes unable to cope. My vision system was giving up. It had begun to shut down. I could barely see, and if I tried to, all I got was a dark, blurry mess, barely able to make out people's faces and objects. I lay in bed that night, the constant drilling of tinnitus ringing in my ears, my head about to explode, tears rolling down my face. I wondered why I deserved all this. What did I do to have to endure such a terrible condition? At that time, I would rather have been deaf than endure this constant, uninterrupted noise. Sadly, and I am almost embarrassed to say this now, but as far as I could see, my life was over. Little did I know that this exact moment would soon lead to my discovery of a powerful tinnitus curing secret, now used by over 105,000 Americans. The same secret able to help you or a loved one be able to achieve exactly the same results. Unable to work, I lay in bed for days, then weeks. I became bedridden, overweight, scrambling around, hands in front of me to find my way around my house to move. My wife became my servant, at my every beck and call. She too was feeling the burden. Nothing was improving, no matter which medication, antibiotic, or painkiller my doctor gave me. Television was useless and frustrating as I couldn't see what was going on. My only great comfort was the radio. I became a great fan of the radio and would spend hours listening each day. It wasn't until September the 18th, 2013, I remember it well, that something very odd happened. I was tuning in my radio when I came across a radio station. I'd never heard it before, and I'm not quite sure how my radio picked it up, but it seemed to be from across the pond. On it spoke a softly spoken, articulate doctor as their guest speaker. His name, Dr. James Phillips. He was an ENT, ear, nose, and throat specialist, consultant with over 25 years' experience in the field, with a very distinct Queen's English-British accent. To my surprise, he was talking about tinnitus, a subject that sadly almost no one would care to discuss these days. I turned up the volume and paid close attention. Dr. Phillips was explaining how after getting enough funding, he was in the first phase of carrying out breakthrough research into tinnitus, along with his team of established researchers and doctors in an Oxford University research laboratory. Whilst all conventional treatments for tinnitus I had tried in the past merely helped, albeit poorly, cover up the symptoms, they were the first team to tackle head-on the actual cause of tinnitus. The truth is, most doctors are purely concerned with the effect, the symptom of the condition, rather than the cause. Dr. Phillips and his team, rather than wasting his research funding on how to suppress the symptoms, were aiming directly for the root of the problem. He explained how they conducted research on 100 tinnitus sufferers and came to a surprising preliminary conclusion. In our ear, there is a part named the cochlea, which collects sound waves through a coil of many tiny hairs. The cochlea is connected to our brain by the cochlear nerve, which carries the sound signals. Each nerve cell in our ear, as well as our body, is covered in something called a myelin sheath. Without this myelin sheath, neuronal communication becomes nearly impossible, and neurons become susceptible to damage. It is essential for nerve cells to function. Recent February 2014 research released in the peer-reviewed Journal of Neuroscience has confirmed that damage to myelin, the protection sheet around cells, alters the transmission of auditory signals occurring during hearing conditions. For many different reasons, the sheath can become damaged or lessened in volume or even damaged from birth. Damage to the myelin sheath results in all sorts of strange noises such as hissing, clicking, ringing, and buzzing, also known as tinnitus. Loud music and so forth can exacerbate the problem, but are not the culprits. Explaining how people can be born with tinnitus, or never even been subjected to loud music or loud sounds, but can still end up with it. And although traditional doctors and establishments lead you to believe, once this myelin sheath is damaged, that is it, finished. You have to deal with your tinnitus for the rest of your life. This is dead wrong. Why? Well, what spurred Dr. Phillips to set up his expert team and gather funding was because of research by US-based Mayo Clinic in 2007 titled Antibody Leads to Repair of Myelin Sheath in Lab